5 American weapons of war China should fear. As a superpower, the United States has maintained a formidable technology-advanced military for decades. While the Chinese weapons highlighted last week were often designed with the United States in mind, none of the weapons this week were explicitly designed to fight China. In fact, many of the weapons featured here were first designed during the Cold War and predate China's military rise. Again, it's important to point out that the chances of war between the United States and China are remote. There is too much advantage for both countries in maintaining the status quo of a strong economic relationship, roughly $500 billion in bilateral trade, and cordial, if stiff, diplomatic ties. A war would be a political, economic, and military disaster for both sides. So here are 5 American weapons of war China should fear. Number 1. Ford-class aircraft carriers. Since the end of the Second World War, the aircraft carrier has been the symbol of American power projection. American carriers typically displace up to 100,000 tons fully loaded. The embarked carrier air wing typically includes 4 squadrons of A-18C Hornets or A-18E Super Hornet strike fighters, up to 42 aircraft total, 4 or 5 EA-6B Prowler or EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, approximately a dozen MH-60 Seahawks, and a pair of C-2 Greyhound carrier onboard delivery aircraft. The Ford class, America's latest class of aircraft, is the weapon system China fears most. The mix of aircraft on board a carrier makes it capable of a wide variety of missions, including air superiority, land attack, anti-ship, and anti-submarine warfare. In 1996, in response to Chinese missile launches near Taiwan, the USS Nimitz and USS Independence carrier battle groups were sent into the Taiwan Strait. There was nothing the Chinese military could have done to prevent the carriers from entering the strait. Number 2. The F-22 Raptor. The F-22 Raptor is currently the only operational 5th-generation fighter in the world. A stealthy, single-seat fighter with ground attack, reconnaissance, and electronic warfare capabilities, the F-22 is capable of cruising at Mach 1.82, 1,220 miles an hour, without afterburner. The F-22 carries up to 2 AIM-9X short-range and 6 AIM-120 medium-range anti-aircraft missiles in the fighter role and can carry precision-guided air-to-ground weapons in the ground attack role. China fears the F-22 because there is nothing like it in China's arsenal. For the foreseeable future, the F-22 will dominate the air environment wherever it is sent. China's existing fighters, the indigenous J-10 and various derivatives of the Su-27 flanker design, J-11, J-16, Su-30 MKK, are not stealthy. The F-22's sensor suite makes it capable of quietly collecting enemy data such as radio and radar emissions without an adversary knowing it was in the area. This capability could even be useful in peacetime for intelligence collection purposes. Number 3. Virginia-class submarine. The Virginia-class attack submarines are the most advanced nuclear submarines in the world. First introduced in 2004, the Virginia-class submarines display 7,800 tons and are powered by a single S-9G nuclear reactor that gives each unlimited range, serving as a mothership for unmanned undersea vehicles, supporting naval special operations forces, and collecting intelligence. The submarines are armed with 4 torpedo tubes, armed with a mixture of Mk-48 guided torpedoes and sub-Harpoon anti-ship missiles. In addition to torpedo tube armament, the Virginia class has 12 vertical launch silos for Tomahawk land attack long-range cruise missiles. The submarine can also transport U.S. Navy SEALs and other naval special forces. China fears the Virginia-class submarines because it has zero operational experience in anti-submarine warfare, ASW, and a woefully insufficient ASW capability. None of China's submarines, including the Shang nuclear or Yuan-class diesel electric boats, can match the Virginia-class in sensors, stealth, and armament, and would be at a distinct disadvantage in a one-on-one undersea duel. Number 4. B-2 Spirit. One of the most recognizable weapons in the world, the Batwing B-2 Spirit bomber, is also one of the deadliest. Originally conceived as a strategic nuclear bomber, the B-2 was modified at the end of the Cold War to also serve as a conventional bomber. The B-2's ability to penetrate air defense networks, travel up to 6,000 miles without refueling, and carry up to 40 tons of satellite-guided bombs make it possibly the most lethal weapon system currently in existence. The B-2 is fearsome to Beijing as it is undetectable and can reach targets anywhere in China. The B-2 can take off from Andersen Air Force Base on the island of Guam and strike targets from Xinjiang to Shanghai. If the United States and China were to go to war in the Western Pacific, China could expect strikes anywhere within its borders. Unlike the other weapons on this list, the B-2 bomber has already attacked Chinese territory technically. The B-2 has name recognition in China for having mistakenly attacked the Chinese embassy in Belgrade during NATO's 1999 air campaign against Yugoslavia. Number 5. F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 Lightning II is America's next-generation fighter-bomber meant to replace existing aircraft such as the F-16, F/A-18C, and A-10. Maligned for being over budget and behind schedule, the F-35 strike fighter has had a rocky development history. Still, if the F-35 does indeed eventually work as advertised, it will be a formidable aircraft. Although the U.S. Air Force's campaign to make every new fighter a fifth-generation fighter has been enormously expensive and resulted in an aging fighter fleet, an all-stealth fighter fleet does complicate matters for potential adversaries. The F-35 will extend China's stealth problem. In any future conflict, China would already likely see F-22 Raptors based at Kadena Air Base on the island of Okinawa. U.S. Air Force F-16C fighters at Misawa Air Base in northern Japan will likely be replaced with F-35As. The increased range of the F-35 over the F-16 means that fighters from Misawa could theoretically strike the Chinese mainland with standoff weapons. Further complicating the issue for Beijing, some of China's other potential adversaries such as Australia will also be flying F-35s. Finally, like the F-22 Raptor, the F-35 has an advanced suite of sensors that add intelligence collection, reconnaissance, and electronic warfare capabilities. The F-35's AN/AAQ-37 distributed aperture system is reportedly capable of tracking ballistic missiles and other targets at ranges exceeding 800 miles, while the APG-81 radar system can map terrain and enemy forces on the ground.